Hello, everyone, and happy Friday to everyone out there in the You Are Worthy Network. So glad to be able to bring our week together to a close, our work week to a close anyway. I say that, I got to admit, guys, that I actually work a lot on the weekend. Of course, that's in the nature of what I do, for those of you that know I'm a pastor. So nevertheless, I get a little jealous of you guys sometimes when your work week comes to a close on Friday, but just a little bit. I'm grateful that you have the weekends off, and I pray and hope you have a very relaxing weekend and don't have to do too much yard work. Because it is that time of year where the grass is growing for sure. I'm excited as always to be with you, to express my gratitude to each one of you, and to introduce you here in just a minute to our special guest. It's even a little more special today as the network we've not even been around for 8 months yet. And this is going to be our 100th interview. And it's just amazing. I can't believe all that God has done in a short period of time. And I'm just so grateful to Him. I'm so grateful to each one of you. I think you're going to love our guest today. She has a heart of gold. She's very resilient. She's very transparent. And you're going to enjoy her story today. I am confident. Let me tell you a little bit about Nafsheen Luhar. She is a creative soul alchemist, art meditation facilitator, and motivational speaker devoted to helping women rise, heal, and reclaim their power through creativity. She has walked through childhood trauma, body shaming, self harm, PCOS, and cancer, experiences that shattered her, but also awakened her. In her darkest moments, she discovered a truth that changed everything. Her pain was not the end of her, it was the doorway to her healing and ultimately her purpose. Through radical self responsibility, unconditional self love, and the courage to authentically and live her truth, she broke free from her past and stepped fully into her power. Art became her medicine and her transformation. Through creation, meditation, and the journey inward, she leaned, she learned how to transmute. I can't talk today. She learned how to transmute pain into beauty, turning wounds into powerful living masterpieces. Her healing wasn't about erasing her past, but embodying it to transform it into strength, purpose, and truth. She now illuminates the path for others to rediscover their own light. Her work transformed pain into art, healing into expression, and your story into a living masterpiece, one rooted in strength, truth, and liberation. Wow, wow, wow. That's powerful. Navsheen, welcome to the You Are Worthy Network.
Thank you so much, Steve, for having me here. I'm so thrilled to be here.
Oh, great for you to be here. Thank you for your grace and me stumbling over a couple of words, which can happen late in the week and late in the day.
That's okay, no problem at all.
So tell the folks. I tell people this all the time. Like one of the many blessings of having a group that has grown the way ours has, now over 11,000 people that have joined, is people are watching, not just in the United States, even though most of my interviews, I'm trying to think if all of them have happened in the United States. I think maybe they have all been. No, there's been a few in Canada. Um, I don't want people to assume that everybody I interview is in the United States, but you happen to be. But tell us where you're from and where you live now.
So I was born and raised in Kenya, in Nairobi, the capital, and I currently live in Sacramento, California. I moved here when I was 18.
What a culture shock that must have been.
Sometimes I still have a culture shock because apparently I'm supposed to know a lot of American things, which I don't because my childhood wasn't rooted in that. So
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you get to go back to Kenya very often?
I've been here 26 years and I actually have not been back since I came. I
Okay.
I would love to go back. I just have not been yet.
Just hasn't happened.
Correct.
Okay. Okay. And so you're in, I've never been to Sacramento. I honestly do, I've only been to California one time, and I have a lot of friends in California, but I've only been to California when I was a baby, so obviously I don't remember it.
Okay.
But tell us about Sacramento, what you like about it, and then tell us who's in Sacramento with you. Tell us about your family.
So, what's there to like about Sacramento? Um, I can't really say that it's fascinating. There's a lot of people here. It's the capital, and so okay, the best part about Sacramento for me is old Sacramento, where you see like the Western buildings, the cobblestone roads, and that's probably, as an artist, for me, that probably has some authenticity to it. It's just a place for me that I feel settled and home because I went to college and university here, and most of my family is here. So I take care of my mom. Her and I live together, but we have an extended family. My mom's siblings, my dad's siblings, and his kids, my cousins from my childhood are all here. So I guess that's why it's kind of like home. But as far as what's wonderful about Sacramento itself, I think just old Sacramento.
Okay. Okay.
There's
I
not
have to put,
it's a valley, so it gets very hot in the summer, and there's not a lot of fun nightlife or much to do here, really.
now, is it true that Sacramento is only 2 hours away from Tahoe?
Correct, about 2.5. Yeah.
Okay.
And an
Okay.
hour and a half from San Francisco. So,
That's nice location.
yeah, the location is good, I guess. Yeah, it's all the fun places around are not too far away to get to.
Right. Right. And so you obviously alluded to your family, a large family is there with you. What do you like to do for fun?
I'm a recluse. I love to go in nature and take my art supplies and sit there and meditate all day. I do love movies. And I love to meditate. I love to read. I love to create. I love meeting new people. But
So,
going anywhere in nature with my favorite book would probably be my favorite thing to do. And on the opposite end of that, I love going boxing. So those those are the two things that I love to do most. I
wait a
love to
minute.
meditate and be quiet, but when I need to go work out, I need to let it all out in the boxing space.
Oh, okay. I thought I didn't hear you right. So you like to box,
I like to box. Yes.
like competitively or just for
Oh, no, no,
exercise?
just for exercise.
Wow. Like kickboxing or just traditional boxing?
Both, like kickboxing with a bag and traditional boxing with a partner. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I promise I'm not going to cross you today.
No, I wouldn't hurt you.
Oh my goodness. Well, let's go back in time a little bit.
Mhm.
You said you've been here for 26 years?
26 years. It'll be 26 years on July 4th.
I'm sure there's times you're like, how did that happen, right? How did that it flew
I
by, I'm
know.
sure.
Sometimes I'm like, it's already been 26 years. Like, how did that happen so fast?
Wow. So when you got here, you were 18. I mean, you're dealing with a dramatic change, a culture shock, like we said. You're very young, you're very impressionable. Who are these crazy Americans that you're encountering every day? But then you also have to start thinking in terms of, I've got a future. I'm an adult now. And I wanna get into the young lady, the 18-year-old. What were your thoughts about all this? All these new experiences, new culture, and then what was your vision for your life? Were you going to go to school? Were you going to work a while? Were you going to do both? I know those are a lot of questions wrapped up in one thought there.
You know what? It's interesting because I've never been asked this question in this way for this time of my life in any kind of interview. And it's such a deep part rooted in where I came from because when I came here, it was under very challenging circumstances. My career or what I was going to do was completely not even part of my thinking at that time. We moved as a result of my dad suddenly passing back in Kenya
Mm,
due to a cardiac arrest. And so there wasn't anybody there to take care of us. And so my grandparents, my mom's parents were here. So they sponsored us to move here because we would have a better life in future. So as soon as I moved here, I was first grieving for a very long time as I was very close to my dad growing up. And then my friends in high school were very, very precious to me. And so all of a sudden, I was a blink of an eye, and everything that was important or precious or held my identity or made me feel safe and secure to some level and familiar all disappeared in a blink of an eye. And I was here in this new space with new family members. Like I didn't know any part of my mom's family because they always lived here. And so very different from us, the culture very different. All I wanted to do for the first 6 months that I was here was just go back home.
mm,
So that was the beginning of my experience here. But that changed later as my sister was very diligent. My older sister who came with us was very diligent in getting me into college. And coming from an Indian family, education for women is not the forefront of any parent, but my dad was very forward thinking in that, and he didn't have any sons, but he wanted to make sure that all his daughters were educated because that to him was a very important thing. And I wasn't the brightest in school, but I knew that I had to get a degree, not just for myself, but also because that's something that my dad would have been very proud of. So the first few months that we came here, probably we came here in July. So the first 6 months, we were just kind of meeting family, traveling, going to places. Our aunts and uncles would take us places. And then January of 1999, I started community college here in Sacramento.
okay. Yeah, I can't imagine, you know, um, losing your father young age and then not being able to stay in your homeland. And yeah, I mean, emotions had to be all over the place. Thank goodness for your sister to help you stay focused.
My
So
sister
you
took my dad's place once he passed. She stepped into that role. Yeah.
okay, okay. And how much older is she than you?
She's 7 years older than me.
Okay, okay. Um, so you enroll with the community college. What's the end game of education at that point? What are you thinking in terms of a major eventually?
I just got into college.
Yeah,
Not, not
fair
really
enough.
not really knowing anything. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. My dad always wanted me to be a doctor, but I volunteered at a hospital in the operating theater back in Africa. And I saw a lot of blood and that was not for me.
Wouldn't be
So
for me either.
yeah, now in hindsight, I'm like, if I had been a little bit stronger, maybe that's something I could have done. If I had to do that now, I could probably do it, but at that moment I couldn't. And so I've always been a creative, even from childhood. Creativity has been part of me just expressing myself because I couldn't verbally. And so I'm like, I don't know what to do. So graphic design was a major they were offering in my college. So I decided to do graphic design. And then a prerequisite to that major was photography. And the only reason I'm happy that I'm the age that I am is that I learned photography in the dark room traditionally.
Yes.
And that was a magical experience for me. The first day when I saw the image appear in the developer on in the darkroom, I'm like, this is magical. And the smell of the chemicals and everything was just a beautiful experience. So then I ended up doing a double major. I did a BA in art and a BA, a Bachelor of Art in Photography and a Bachelor of Science in Graphic Design.
Okay. Yeah. You dark rooms, the younger generation listening to this right now are like, what are they even talking about? The dark
That,
room.
yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad you learned the traditional way too, because
Me
in my opinion, I mean the cameras on iPhones and everything, they are amazing, but there's still nothing quite like using a traditional lens, in my opinion.
Not the experience of where the art came from, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, for sure. Okay, so you get your degree, and it's off to the real world. What did you do for a living in your early 20s?
In my early 20s, getting the degree I got was very challenging for me to get a job in the city that I lived in. I had nobody to really guide me at that time to be like, this is where the jobs are going to be for the kind of degree that you're getting, probably New York, San Francisco, all of this, all these places that are like metropolitan and high energy and movement. Sacramento was kind of like, they don't really need photographers or graphic designers at that time in that high of a demand, you know, during when I graduated, which was in 2006. And at that point, my sister, who was here, she had got married and moved to Los Angeles. So I was taking care of my mom. I got some job offers in different countries with what I was doing, but I couldn't leave her by herself. And so I searched endlessly for a job in graphic design and photography, and I didn't get anything, but I got a job at Apple when they came out with their very first iPhone. So it was a special role for about 100 candidates who would be dedicated to calling customers who receive the iPhone. You know, when you buy a new product, you call customer service, but
Hmm.
we would be calling them to walk them through the new phone. And so that started my 9 year career at Apple.
I bet you were very, very busy.
We were insanely busy. And then I transitioned to a different role where we were only taking escalations. So I had to develop the patience of a saint at that point. At that point.
Yeah, I was going to say not only very busy, probably testing your patience and your resolve too,
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
because there was still a lot of kinks to work out if that was the first
Yes,
generation, right?
yes, exactly. The very, very first one. Exactly.
And so you worked for Apple for 9 years, is that right?
For 9 years, correct.
So is I've learned this about entrepreneurs. Is there a was there a goal to jump off into entrepreneur waters all along, or was there an incident that kind of forced that to happen?
There was a life-changing incident that forced that to happen. So I was kind of doing my photography on the side. I had clients, you know, that I would photograph on the weekends and stuff like that. But I wasn't really painting or creating or really fulfilling my soul's purpose, if you will, at that point. And then life happened and I was forced to fulfill that purpose. Well, there's two incidences that happened. One is that I was typing a lot with that job because we had different projects that we had to do. And I developed a very severe nerve injury in my elbow, my right side.
Hmm.
So for a year, I couldn't actually even lift a finger, like because my arm was completely numb. The nerve was compressed and there was no blood flowing through my whole arm.
Well, I'm sorry to interrupt you. I just want to make sure I understand because this is fascinating to me. Like, so you developed a nerve injury from typing, but it wasn't carpal tunnel.
It's called cubital tunnel. It goes through the elbow, not the first two fingers. So it goes
Oh, wow. Okay.
back. So if you have never experienced nerve pain, I never wish that on anyone. It is the worst pain you can ever experience. And the only way for them to test if your nerve is damaged is to shock it, which is even more mortifying.
Ooh.
So I suffered with that pain for a whole year, and I had to have surgery to release the pressure on the nerve and all that. And, I got better. But that was one of the awakening moments to tell me that if you do not have mobility of your right arm, you are not going to be able to paint. And what is that like for you? Like those are the thoughts going on through my mind. And I'm like, if I cannot create, I will die because my soul is on this
Mm.
earth to create. So that was kind of like the stepping stone to like me trying to think like, do I want to be stuck in a cubicle my whole life or what else is out there for me? Like I was never thinking about entrepreneurship or speaking or anything like that. It was just never a part of my psyche or my upbringing or any part of my truth. And I was also raised very reserved. Also, growing up, I had a lot of issues with being overweight. And so the family I grew up in, not my immediate family, but cousins, made me feel very bad about that. So my self-esteem was very, very non-existent. In the Indian culture, you're only considered beautiful if you're light-skinned and skinny. So it's very unfortunate, but
Mm.
those are the ideologies I grew up with. And so I never ever thought that speaking was something I would be able to do. Well, I got better from my nerve injury and I kept working at Apple trying to find different avenues and, you know, things to get out. But a year later, I then was diagnosed with uterine cancer. And that was the life-changing moment for me to really think about I don't want to I need to live and I haven't lived a day in this life of mine doing anything that my heart is supposed to do with the gifts that I have been blessed with.
Oh my goodness.
So
So, I'm sorry, go ahead.
go ahead, go ahead.
Well, I'm just, so you have successful surgery. You're trying to get back into the flow with Apple, but your heart's not really in it, but you're doing what you got to do.
Correct,
And then you get this potentially devastating news.
correct.
Walk us through the emotions of that. How far advanced is it?
Um,
You know,
so in that interim, I had really because my highest weight was at about 375 pounds. And when I was at Apple, if this person had not come into my life, I wouldn't really not be anywhere where I am today. She was my coach, my trainer, my best friend. She goes by the name Tots, but her name is Lorraine. And she had started to work with me on going to marathons and stuff and all of that. However, I was very, very abusive to my body. I had been since childhood because of a lot of trauma that I went through my childhood. I used to self-mutilate and, a lot of crazy things, binge and purge and take my body through extreme workouts and stuff like that. And even though she was coaching me, she really taught me that one, you have to learn to say no, what self-love actually is, and to really try to live life. But I was still really hating myself at the time. And she kept trying to teach me that you have to work on yourself because you love yourself, not because you hate where you're at. You're not going to progress if you do it with hate. But I feel like as a result of all the stress in my body, also with the childhood trauma that I went through, the cancer came. And I got treatment for it for the first time. They said it's in the very early stages. They gave me some hormones, and it was technically what chemo does to your body. Like, it stops the cancer, but I was very depressed. I lost a lot of my hair, and I was in the house for 6 months, basically. I had to lose weight, but they gave me a drug that would increase my appetite like by 10, but I had to lose weight while my appetite was really high. I'm depressed. I'm in the house losing hair, not myself at all. So after 6 months, the cancer was gone with that hormonal treatment, and I went back to my regular life. I didn't think this was such a big deal until my second diagnosis. So after 6 months after healing, then after another 6 months when they diagnosed me, they're like, it's back and it's aggressive, and we don't really know what level it's at, but we should operate and probably take your uterus out. And then once I got the second diagnosis, they told me that we're going to schedule your surgery in 6 weeks. So this was now my defining moment of like, okay, for the first 2 weeks, I made myself very, very mentally and physically ill with all the negative thoughts in my head about
Mm.
me just not me just dying and not going to be here and nothing to show for my life and all of that. And then
Wow.
I was sitting in my bed one night and 4 weeks now before the surgery and just letting my thoughts and life go through me and trying to really think like what is this and why am I going through this? And I touched my womb and I don't know where the thought came from or what happened, but I feel like this was God speaking to me. And they say, as the famous poet Rumi says, I always go by this quote, is that the wound is where the light enters. So this was the defining moment for me when I had this epiphany or this message from the divine. And I told myself that if you just have 4 weeks, is this how you want to go out with like these thoughts in your mind? Or are you going to try to make a transition moving forward? And then I just realized that whatever I was going through was actually for me. I went through a lot of sexual trauma in my childhood, which is still the energy that I was carrying inside me. And for me to progress forward in life, I needed that part of my body out of my system for me to actually heal. Because for women, according to research, a lot of women who go through sexual trauma, they either have a heart disease or they end up with cancer in their reproductive organs, which is what happened in this situation. So I was carrying that stress in my body the whole time. And it's very challenging for an Indian Muslim woman to be married or find a spouse if she cannot have children. So this was defining for me and breaking patterns and stereotypes and cultural norms in so many different ways. So the doctor herself was very kind and she said, you know, if you were my daughter, I would not put you through the treatment again or chemo. I would have you remove your uterus because you don't want it to get worse or you don't want it to spread and you don't want it to get out of your uterus. That's why they wanted to operate. Well, at that moment, I also knew that I'm going to be fine. That once the surgery is done, that's all that needs to happen. And then I'll be able to fulfill my purpose because I was thinking that I've always known that I'm here on this earth to help people somehow. I just didn't know why until that moment. And I realized that everything I'd been through in my childhood was because I was supposed to heal it for myself with whatever gifts I had, which were connection to humanity and creativity. And then I could help others heal that. I knew that at that moment. And
I'm so I'm sorry. This is fascinating. Like this is my perception. Tell me if I'm off, because I very well could be. The mindset shift that happened for you sounds like about a month out.
before the
It,
surgery, correct.
yeah, before the surgery is fascinating. Like that's not an easy decision because of all the reasons you said, culture,
Mhm.
family, et cetera, right? But obviously it's your second go around with the diagnosis. And but seeing just everything you described about the womb, the healing, your purpose, it was all gonna flow starting here. But the operation, you embrace that it needed to happen
Mhm.
here, obviously first, and that it was happening for you.
Correct.
I love the mindset shift. It's
Mhm.
really strong.
But that's what I'm saying is I don't think, I mean, it came from me, but I think there was something higher than me,
Yeah.
obviously, that made me realize this because I feel like I've always known that everything happens for a reason. And actually, it always happens for your good, whether it's really painful and challenging. Even my dad passing, if he hadn't, we would never be in the United States. That was his journey up until that time.
Hmm.
As even the surgery of my arm, that was a huge epiphany in trying to tell me that you need to create, otherwise, this staying in a cubicle is just not a space for you. You need to get, it's like my body is also telling me what I need to do for me to be happy to fulfill my purpose. So I tried to listen to everything, and I thought that the surgery was going to completely debilitate me. But again, the doctor even reassured me when I was having my surgery. She's like, if you leave it like that, it's just going to get worse. And I'm like, okay, well, this is the only thing I have to rely on. And so I'm fine and I can create now.
And and it went well, I take it.
Yes, it did go well. The recovery process for any nerve surgery is very long because your nerve grows 1 millimeter every month.
Oh wow.
So it's a very long recovery process.
Wow.
But I made it. So
Yes.
for the second diagnosis, my sister who took my spot of my dad, she's my guardian angel, and I also would not have made it without her because we're just very beautifully bound together. So she's here for my surgery. She's my go-to person whenever I panic or when something is happening. So she came for my surgery and she's like, "Why are you so calm? Like, I'm so stressed for you. Like, how?" I said, "I'm going to be fine." And she's like, "How do you know?" I said, "I just know that once this cancer is done, it's not going to be out of my uterus. It's not going to have spread anywhere. They're going to take it out and I'm going to be fine after that." And she was shocked because she always sees me in a state of like complete panic and like fear, and she's there to calm me down. And in this situation, I was like,
The
I'm
opposite.
glad you're here, but I'm just letting you know that I'm going to be okay." And so I woke up from my anesthesia and I looked at her and I said, "I'm fine." She's like, "Yeah, you're fine." Yeah, everything's good. And yeah, so
Wow.
then I was still working at Apple at that time. And it's hard to quit when you own a house and you're taking care of your mom. And I still continue to work there to and look for other options. Entrepreneurship was still not my choice. I was just looking for other creative positions in my area. And then I bought a brand new car. 2 months later, I had a really bad car accident. So someone rear-ended me in the
Yeah.
brand new car, and my hand was on the steering wheel, and my nerve got shocked in my elbow, and the pain all
No,
the same nerve,
the same harm?
same arm,
Oh my gosh.
and all the pain came back, and I'm like, oh my God. And so I was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going to sit at a desk anymore. I have some savings. I'm just going to pull the trigger and quit and work on my photography and my art. And I had savings worth of 4 months. And I'm like, I know that I can't do this. So anything other than this is going to be better. So I just pulled the trigger at that point. I took all the courage in my heart that I could, and I'm like, let's go. There was kind of another job on the side of I was kind of doing some design work for a restaurant that I could, maybe work with that eventually, but that fell through and the restaurant was not functioning anymore. But here I was.
Oh my goodness. Wow. You have been through the ringer. However,
Mhm.
I know it's made you the person you are.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And the reason then I started my journey to, do photography and everything on the side. And then my speaking opportunity came. So I don't know if you want me to get into that or talk about how I went there, but
Well, tell us what you're doing now that lights you up. Is it the speaking? Is it the helping women? Is it the art? Is it all of it?
there's so much of it. So the speaking is probably where it started. The first time I told my story publicly, there was not a dry eye in the room.
I
And
bet.
I don't say that out of being conceited, but I say that as a space of how important it is to share your story because you don't know how many people cannot share theirs and theirs is exactly like yours. At
Hmm.
that moment, I knew that this is what I have to do. Even though it was very sloppy, it was not like a great speech or anything, I just stood and authentically told my story.
Hmm.
And so then I realized that speaking could help people heal, and it healed me every time I spoke. There was a part of the little girl who was abused for so long that was allowed to express herself every time she spoke. In our culture, we're not allowed to do that. I still get a lot of backlash for talking about my childhood story in my culture because it's shameful.
Hmm.
But the more I get that backlash, the more I know I need to do it.
Hmm.
If that makes sense.
It does make sense.
Yeah. So then I was speaking and doing photography and telling my story and doing art and all of that and I decided that why can't I combine all of that together? Why can I not combine a story and creativity and art and healing all together? So I try to call it transforming adversity into art, and it's the cathartic alchemizing process of creating beauty out of your wounds to transcend them and heal them. A lot of us want to bury the wounds and say that pain is bad, but the pain is the healing. If the pain is beautiful and you make it beautiful, you can transcend it and there's no more pain anymore. And you can only create something beautiful when you're in a state of pain or in a state of unconditional love. But if you're creating that beauty when you're in that pain, you transform it into unconditional love for yourself. And so I started creating stories of people who've overcome adversity and painting them or their journey into something beautiful at the end. So I do that for myself. I've done it for a
Hmm.
couple of my clients, and then I teach art and meditation on the side, and I do coaching, and I do my speaking.
Wow, what a different life. Coaching, speaking, training, art, meditation. I'm jotting some of this down. That's why I'm looking down. I mean, your life looks completely different today than it did when you were in that cubicle,
Absolutely.
which brings a smile to your face like it should.
Yes. Yes. Although I do have a 9 to 5, but the fact that I have this on the side is fulfilling me so much. And my goal is to ultimately have my own center where I can do this all the time and help people heal on a daily basis. So that's the goal.
Yep, absolutely. So, if folks wanted to learn more about what you do, they wanted to reach out, what would be the best way to find you?
Well, I have my website. I'm very easily accessible on all social media platforms. I have TikTok, Facebook, Instagram. And my website is easy. It's just nafsheen.com. So they can find all my work over there. And
Yeah,
LinkedIn.
and we'll
LinkedIn.
and LinkedIn, and we'll include that in the show notes also. Um, sometimes we get a little hint of maybe what's to come.
Mhm.
What do you think's next for you?
I think what's next for me would probably be a TED Talk.
Okay,
I don't know how soon, but what's the next big thing, I guess, that I would want for myself. I
I love that goal.
have one more. I would love,
Another, yeah, let's hear it.
I would love to have an exhibit in the San Francisco Modern Museum of Art of my work. I don't know how big I can dream, but that's a big dream.
Well, that's where it starts right there. You can dream as big as you want to,
Right,
and you should,
right.
because it won't happen if you don't dream it that big.
That what I was told is if you dream it, it's already out there. So,
I love your big dreams, and I will join you in prayer about those things.
oh, thank you so much, Steve.
Obviously, there's hard work that has to go into that. And there's some practical steps that you have to take, and there has to be people that can help you on that journey because we all need help.
Of
But I
course.
love the big dream for sure. Any words of encouragement that you would leave our viewers? Maybe there's somebody watching right now that has gone through some abuse, that has gone through cancer, or is in the middle of cancer right now. What would your words of encouragement be for those folks?
I It's really hard sometimes to get this message across, especially when we're in pain, because a lot of terrible things happen to good people. And it's really hard to be in a place where people say, she's an amazing person, that should never have happened to her. Well, if it should never have happened, it wouldn't have. I just want them to know whatever difficulty that you're going through is because your soul has a purpose on this earth. And you're going to constantly go through the experiences you need to for your soul to evolve to its purpose. My purpose on this earth is to help people heal. If I didn't go through the pain and heal it myself, I would not be able to fulfill that purpose. So, my biggest message would be that if you're going through a difficulty, just think about what you can do for someone once you overcome that difficulty. That is my biggest message to anyone suffering with anything, because there's a bigger reason for that, for you to transcend it. So, as humans, I believe we're all here to enhance the human experience for one another with whatever gifts we've been given. And so, if we can see that what we're going through, no matter what it is here for a bigger purpose for our soul's evolution, the pain is not that painful anymore.
Very wise words. Nafsheen, early on, we very briefly mentioned your boxing prowess, and I bet you're tough in the ring or tough on that bag.
Yeah.
But what I've learned today, much more importantly, is you're really, really resilient. You're really, really tough at taking the blows of life and
When
turning them into gold.
when I'm in it, it's challenging. But
Of course.
when I overcome it, then I know why.
Hmm. Yeah. You have been inspiring with your openness, with what you've learned, and your resilience. I want to thank you for being my special guest today.
Or
Your heart has come shining through, your heart to give back. And I tell people all the time that we don't get to control the day we were born, and we don't get to control the day we exit, but make the most of your dash. And I've heard repeatedly in our talk here that you are one that wants to make the most of your dash, and you're doing it. And I thank you for that. I thank you for being a gift to all of us. It's been awesome having you today.
thank you so much, Steve. It's been a pleasure being here.
You guys, I'm going to remind you right now as we get ready to leave. One of our themes in our group is your story's not over yet. And you just heard through Nafsheen's testimony, God wasn't done with her story yet by a long shot. And it looked pretty dim there a couple times. If you're here today, we're grateful that you're here today. We're grateful because not everybody got to see today. Some people didn't make it through the night. And if you're still here, there's a purpose for it. Your story's not over yet. Be grateful for that. I know I am. Till next time, have a great weekend. God bless.